Great. Okay. All right. So I am so excited to have my dear friend and fellow author, Dr. Craig, here with me for this edition of Undiplomatic Conversations for anniversary of the book. So first of all, Todd, thank you for being here.
No, no, no. First of all, happy anniversary to
Thank
you and your
you.
illustrious, wonderful book. Like it is,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
it's an important read. It's an important text. So we're gonna start with congratulating you.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you. And just full text for everybody, Todd and I go way back. So I know his wife, I know his kids. So this conversation will probably be extremely casual because that's just how we are. But Dr. Craig, I would love for you to give us a little intro about you, and then leading into your book. But first, even before the book, how many things you've done and how impressive you are. Because I be bragging on you like, well, you know my friend, Dr. Craig. And so I would love for people just to learn a little bit about you.
Um, yeah. So I started off in Queensbridge and then moved over to Ravenswood houses in Long Island City, which is
Mhm.
in Queens, right near the 59th Street Bridge. Shout out to Queensbridge houses, shout out to Ravenswood houses all day, every day. Um, just a kid kind of growing up in a, peculiar black family.
Mhm.
You know, my great aunt raised me. I consider her to be my mom. She raised me from like 3 months old,
Mhm.
and kind of instilled in me the importance of education. Um,
Mhm.
and I wound up at junior high school 204 and and realized that there had to be something different than these brick buildings.
Mhm. Mhm.
Figured out a way to
Yeah.
take the SSAT. And I had a guidance counselor at the time by the name of Gloria Powell.
Mhm.
She calls me into her office and she says, I just heard you're taking the SSAT tomorrow. We've been doing test prep for the past month, but I want you to take these codes and I want you to put these codes on the test. You're going to
Mm.
put Phil Mount Herman, you're going to put Phillips Exeter Academy, and you're going to put a better chance.
Mm.
I put those codes on the test. Um, a better chance contacted me. I went through the process with ABC, which led me to St. George's School in Newport, Rhode Island.
Mm.
Um, and that's where things kind of get moving from St. George's. I'm at Williams College in Northwestern Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Won a Rockefeller Brothers Fellowship for minorities entering the teaching profession. Um,
Mhm.
that leads me to Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Mhm. I think that's when I met you when you were getting your were you getting your doctorate when I met you? Your
When
master?
we met, I was getting my doctorate. So I'd finished
That's
Harvard,
right. Yeah.
started teaching college English, fell in love with it. And we met right around the time I was teaching college English part-time. I was working on my doctorate and I
Mhm.
had finished the novel and the novel had just been published.
Mhm.
And so I was running around with the novel. I think you were the one of the first people to interview me for the novel.
That's right.
Um,
Oh gosh, Todd, I forgot. Yes.
yeah, that's how far
Yes.
back that goes.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, I don't got all this gray hair in my beard for nothing. So finished the doctorate. Wound up teaching in the English department at Meg Rivers College in CUNY. Um, from there, I was appointed to the English department at the CUNY Graduate Center, where I work
Mhm.
with master's and doctoral students in the English department. Shifted from English at Meg Rivers to African American Studies at New York City College of Technology in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
People in New York know it as City Tech. And then recently was appointed to the urban education department at the grad center. Um,
Ooh.
so a lot of work in CUNY,
Yeah.
and then just recently, a couple years ago, my second book, K for the Way, DJ Rhetoric and Literacy for 21st Century Writing Studies, came out. Um, my dissertation was a qualitative research study. I interviewed 90 DJs, just
Wow.
talking about the work that DJs do as
Right.
archivists, curators, storytellers, writers.
Mhm.
Um, about 30 to 35 of those interviews went from the dissertation and kind of found their way to
Yeah.
the book.
Hmm.
I'm really just wanting to have a conversation about hip hop culture and
Yeah.
DJs, um, in a different way than the academy does. Typically, the
Yeah.
academy wants to think about their theory, and then maybe they'll include the people who they're talking about. Maybe,
Yeah.
um,
Maybe.
right. For me,
Mm.
I like you can't talk about hip hop if you're not talking about the DJ, and you can't
Mm.
properly talk about the DJ if you're not talking to DJs. Um,
Yeah.
so
That's
my
right.
goal was to have those conversations and let those conversations then guide the research and the
Mm.
scholarship and the theory.
Yeah, and I know you have your book near you too. So can you put it up and tell us about the book? Like tell us when it came out. Tell
So
us
the
writing, where can people get it? I mean, we'll get
so
to
the
that
book,
too, but
yeah, so the book came out in September of 2023.
yeah.
Shout out to Kathy White who did the cover art. Um,
Yes,
this
Kathy.
Yo, Kathy is so dope.
She's
This
so
record
dope. I love
crate
her.
is an acrylic painting on a wooden frame. Um,
Wow.
and you can see like even some of the details, how she's got Ravenswood, Dairy, Long Island City in the milk.
Yeah.
Um, Kathy is just extraordinary.
Hmm.
So the book came out in September of 2023.
Hmm.
Um, in August of 2024, the book won the David H. Russell Award for Distinguished Research in the
Mm.
field of English,
Mm.
which is a huge honor.
Yeah,
National Council of Teachers of English.
that's right.
It's a list of 58 people.
Mm. Wow.
The last time someone won it in CUNY, I think was in like 1981. So
Wow.
I'm glad to bring the crown back home.
Wow.
Um, and
Wow.
then just recently the book was awarded the Advancement of Knowledge Award from the Conference on College Composition and Communication.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy. You know how this thing goes, Disha. It's like
Yes, it's not.
you hope you get it right for the
Yeah.
culture. And like my
Mm.
thing was, if the DJs say I got it right, cool. Um,
Yeah, that was the important part. And why was it so important? I mean, you kind of spoke about this a little bit when you were just talking about your research and the culture, but why was it so important for you to put this in book format for public? Why was it important to kind of tell these stories, to tell the back, to tell the research? I want to hear from you because putting a book out is not easy.
nah.
I don't know how you did that shit twice. It's a no for me. One and done.
No.
Like everybody's like, you say that now. I'm like, I swear to goodness. But why was it so important for you to tell the story and kind of tell the story of DJs and culture? What was your motivation there?
If we don't tell our own stories and write our own narratives, someone else
Mhm.
will, and typically they'll get it super wrong.
And we've seen it.
Oh
We've
yeah,
seen
there,
it.
there is.
Hmm.
We've seen this part of the movie before on multiple
Hmm.
occasions. And
Hmm.
so for me, when I was finishing my doctorate, like as a DJ, because I've been a DJ, I've
Hmm.
always made the argument that DJs are writing, they are telling stories, they are
Hmm.
manipulating words and ideas and thoughts with the songs that they're playing. And a lot of these academics are like, "What? Get out of here with that."
Yeah. Yeah.
So part of it was kind of, it's always like, nah, my culture is the greatest. I'm gonna prove y'all wrong. And
Hmm.
part of it too is always in academia, they have this conversation about hip hop. I call it the Nat Geo perspective.
Mm.
Always somebody with like a British or Aussie voice. No offense to the Brits or the Aussies that are watching. Um, but and it's that golf voice, like hip hop is
Yeah. Hmm.
don't get too
Yep.
close.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't get too close.
and hip hop is like it's been the thing.
Mhm.
If not for hip hop, I don't make it through all of these academic institutions.
Right. Right. Right.
And so it was important for me to tell the story of DJs
Hmm.
with the voice of DJs driving that conversation. And then also just to kind of to document the culture properly
Mm.
in a different space that we're not used to
That's
seeing
right.
the culture documented in.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I think that the important thing for me is that like you talk to DJs and you actually went behind. It wasn't just, I think a lot of stuff that we see on the culture is very image driven and is very performative or it's very fad driven or trend driven. And so it's one of these things where we'll see something about hip hop when it comes to an article or a celebrity. And I don't know if the art of it and the intellect of it is something that comes to the forefront, which is why I really started writing about hip hop 20 years ago. Because I was just like, I'm seeing all of this in the culture, but like then I turn on the TV or look at the paper and then there's nothing, it doesn't say anything like this. And so I'm like, I'm just going to start writing about it, not because it was lucrative or I was going to make a name for myself, but it was like people deserve to know these people and to know this history a little bit and to also see who's trying to carry that forward in the most authentic way, which I think your book really does, you know? And so in interviewing the DJs for your doctor and then turning it all into a book, what was this thing that surprised you? Did anything surprise you?
I mean, a lot of things surprised
Mm,
me. The amount of reading and and
mm.
rereading surprised me. Um, the amount of the amount of hate in the academy for hip hop at the time,
Mm.
it surprised me. It didn't shock me, but it surprised me that there was this much resistance.
Mm.
There
Why do you think
was
that is, Todd? Like,
I think for one, it's people who are in positions to make judgments and claims on hip hop, but they
mm,
don't know what hip hop is.
mm.
But in the academy, they've been labeled as the hip hop expert, right? And
Oh,
so
wow.
what
Mm,
my work now does is it
mm.
complicates and really pushes up against, like, if you're talking about the DJ but you haven't touched the turntable or you haven't spoken to a DJ, like what are what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Who we talk about?
Yeah,
Because
right, right.
it's you know who. Yeah.
And Disha, the other thing I think is when we enter these spaces in our genuine, authentic selves,
Mm.
I think sometimes it like it's just scary to people. I don't know
Yeah,
why. It
it is.
shouldn't
It
be,
is.
right?
It is.
But it people are confused by the fact that I'm a kid that grew up in Queens, New York, listening to hip hop. I've been a DJ for longer than I haven't been a DJ, and I figured out a way to make scholarship and
Yes.
document who the
Hmm.
DJ is,
Right.
the DJ at the center of that work.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I think Todd, the thing is I don't want to forget this is you not only you I think it scares people that you're from Queens, you know, you're supposed to be a certain way, yada 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 with hip hop, but then you turned it like I'm also a scholar and I'm a doctor and I'm a student of hip hop, but also a teacher of it. Also, I study it. Also, I'm you know authentic and I'm accountable to it. And I
right.
think that that's something that people, they're going to put you either in the academic box, like, oh, he's over here. Or they're going to put you in the Queens hip hop DJ box over here. And you were like, nah, F all that. Like, I'm not trying. And to be clear, like, you weren't like on purpose, I'm going to shake this up. You're like, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I'm not doing nothing that I have to fabricate because this is who I am, which I think is a difference, you know, of trying to like, I don't really know this, but let me go in this arena. So these people, you're like, nah, this is my life, you
Yeah,
know?
not it. It's one of those things where and Disha, you know this, right? Like
Mhm.
you can't be an academic talking about DJs around me because I rock parties in Club Fluid, like,
Mhm.
and I could list a names of a bunch of different spots. So we can do the academic thing,
Mhm.
but then don't think that it can't happen with me on these two turntables. Like you'll get your feelings hurt.
Matter of fact, tell us how you do your book events because I think this is so wonderful how you do your book events. And we have one coming up, but I'll put that in the little show notes in May, and we might have some more. But tell people how you do that, your book
So
event.
a lot of times when I'm moving around, when I do book talks, at different colleges, at different private and independent high schools, what I try to do is get like a Google survey and have students submit like two or three of their favorite hip hop songs.
Mm,
I use that to kind of curate a DJ set
mm,
that starts my book talk. So before I
yeah,
even start talking, I'm playing
yeah,
because I think it's important for young people to see that level of authenticity. Like
that's
I'm
right.
not just talking about the DJ and it's not wax poetic from afar. Like
Mm,
this is what I've done for
mm,
the majority of my life. And
mm,
so we start there. So then that way when I begin to have this conversation about who DJs are, what they do, and how the work that they do translates into these academic spaces.
mm,
Like it's almost like that DJ set that I start with becomes the glue to how we
mm.
bridge this conversation between the DJ
Yes.
academic world.
Yeah, definitely. And when you think about when you think about like how that's received, what's been some of the reactions that you've gotten? So I'm sure people come in, they ready for a nice book talk, entertaining, of course, yes. Learning something, yes. But how do you feel like people receive you once they kind of like see the turntables and they be like, am I in the wrong room? Like, no, you in the right room. Come on
Yeah,
in.
and a lot of people like so the people who know me and know what I do, they're just like, yo, this is so Todd. Like
That's something what I always say is like, yeah, yeah, that's
right.
not.
And then I think the other people who don't know what to expect,
Mhm.
I think they get a different type of education because they
Yeah.
get a conversation.
Mm,
They get a conversation about what DJs do,
hmm
why it's high science. They get to see it through the different video clips and the different images I share during the book talk. But then they also get to see it in real time. Like you get to
Yeah.
see me blending records, scratching
hmm
record, like
hmm
all of that is happening, so it should make sense for you that oh, DJs are doing different work
Mm,
that I never thought they were doing, and then kind of this whole idea of like the influencer, the YouTube reeler,
hmm hmm
that DJ that doesn't have the controller plugged in, they get a sense they get a sense that I think people when you look at what a great DJ does,
hmm
it makes you think that you can do it.
That's true. That is
Oh, that's
very true.
easy. It's not hard.
That's true.
But then once you start
That is so
like
true.
then all of a sudden it's like, wait, hold up. Like
Yeah.
so while one record's playing, you're listening to the next song, and then you're queuing
hmm
up while you're matching these beats. You're thinking about song number 3, 4, and 5
hmm
before you even put song number 2 on.
hmm
And you're doing that for hours on end.
And you also are doing that sometimes in a room where you also have to read the crowd, like how's the crowd
Right,
reacting? Are people having a good time? Are people
right.
being receptive to this with dancing or whatever, or like calling you out? I mean, there's been so many times. I mean, Fluid is, for those who don't know, Fluid was a nightclub in Philly that, but I mean, I still miss it, even though I think to myself at 47, I probably wouldn't be up in there. But
There's
um,
legendary.
it's
Fluid's very
legendary. I mean,
legendary.
it was one of these things where, and I don't really drink like that, but I would go and just dance all night. It was just like, it was just a vibe. It was a, shout out to Stacy. It was just a vibe and Yamin and everybody else. But I think that when I think about DJs and I think about the critical role they play in just us feeling the joy. You know what I mean? Just feeling joy because you are in unison. You're singing along. The memories, like when I hear, we all do. We hear songs. You can almost remember where you are the first time I heard like Shook Ones, or like you remember like oh yeah, like and it just comes back to you this innocence. What I think that's what I love about I mean hip hop in general, but also I feel like DJs control that. So you kind of brought up and spoke about YouTube and all that a little bit. Where do you think the future of not just DJs, but also the future of hip hop? What's it looking like? Without us sounding like old people. Like honestly, where do you
Speak for
think is?
yourself, Disha. Speak for yourself, O's.
I see the gray. Listen, you can still see my gray, but it's in there because a lot in there. But where do you see the future of like DJs, hip hop, like in general?
So I always say when people ask me this question, I say, I think hip hop is right where it's supposed to be. Um,
Okay. Okay.
because hip hop has always been youth culture.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
so
Hmm.
if the youth are telling us that this is where hip hop is, it's right where it's supposed to be. In
That's
the same
right.
way that when we were young people, we didn't want to hear, our older uncles be like, oh, that's not good music. You
Yeah.
don't know what good music is, boy. Let me put it on for you. Right? So what I do a lot in talking to young people in the classes I teach a hip hop class at the college level. I also teach some at the graduate level. I'm always thinking about how do we connect this history? We forget that hip hop is 50 years old. That's half
Mm-hmm.
a century.
Hmm.
I was in class today. I'll give you a perfect example. Today I said to my students, how many of y'all were born like 2000 or earlier? No one raised their hand. Like
Oh,
I was like, yo, nah, we got to the consensus that the majority of people have been born in 2005.
wow. Okay. Okay.
So what I said to them is, you have no idea of the cultural significance that Illmatic played. And somebody was like, what's that word that you just said?
What's that
What's
word?
that? I was like, oh, Illmatic,
Oh,
Nas's first album. Like,
yeah.
our
Yeah.
favorite rapper
Hmm.
studied Illmatic,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So for me, what I spend a lot of time doing is trying to bridge what we used to listen
Hmm.
to what the younger generation is listening to, because I think that's where the disconnect is. I don't think we're having the types
Mm.
of conversations with our youth that allow them to feel empowered and feel like their music is important. But we're
Hmm.
also not giving
Yeah.
them that sense of history. Like, no, this doesn't come out of a vacuum. Like,
Yeah.
when you hear Doechii talking about denial is a river, like, that's the great adventures of Slick Rick. You need
Mhm.
to know that that storytelling comes from that legacy. How do we
Mhm.
bridge that gap together? So
Yeah.
I think hip hop's where it's supposed to be. Um, I
Mhm.
think the future of hip hop is really in the youth and what they decide the future to be.
Yeah. 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 And speaking of youth, you have two girls that I love, your little girls. And I think that they are probably in a more unique position than other kids their age, having you and Steph as parents, learning about the culture. Like I know daggone well, them kids can probably school some people just off of just who their parents are, right?
Yeah,
So
and
when, go ahead.
and Kaylee can DJ
Haley's
quiet.
the
She
oldest.
could. Kaylee's the oldest. She's
Mhm.
13. Shout out. Let me do this real quick, Disha. Shout out to Kaylee, my favorite oldest daughter. Shout out to Julia, my favorite youngest daughter. All right, we good.
My favorite oldest and my favorite.
Hey, boom, boom. I'm winning. I'm winning.
And shout out
Um,
to Steph.
yes, yes. Shout out
Yes.
to Stephanie.
Mhm.
Stephanie is the best. That's my
Mama
hashtag.
holding it
Three Girl
down.
Squad. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's they allow me to be the teacher and the thinker and the
That's right.
scholar that I am.
And when you still talk about Kaylee DJing and just like, how that is.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to do I think it was in like fifth grade. They had an assignment called the Passion Project, and it was something that you really like were passionate about doing. She was like, "Yo, Dad, I want to learn how to DJ." And so I put her right on the turntables. Her timing was dope. You already know, and the songs
I
that she
love
was
her.
playing was like, okay, um, you can mix that K-pop song with that Amy Winehouse song. All right, cool. Who am I to stop you from getting busy?
Right. That's right. That's
Um,
right.
but we're able to have, I think, different conversations with them about music. Um,
Mm.
so Kaylee is like right now she's walking around the house talking about Cardi's my evil twin, but then
Hmm.
she knows she can tell you who J. Cole is, she could tell
Hmm.
you who Nas is, she can tell
Yes.
you who Busta Rhymes is, she can
Hmm.
tell you who Mac Wiles is by like listening.
Hmm.
Um, and so they just they have interesting sonic palettes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kaylee is super tapped in. Julia is like tapped in with other music too. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, it's crazy
Hmm.
to see.
just to watch them too. Just like, I used to live underneath Todd and the family, Stef and Julie and Kaylee. And so just to see how much they've grown, like it's unreal to me. But even back then, when they were little, they knew beats. Like
Yeah.
they knew like songs. They knew like, I'd be over and I pull out an album. They could tell me songs off like an album from 92, way before they was born. And it's just like, of course, like, which to me is like that's where the preservation of the culture comes in because yes, it won't be exactly like we experienced it, but they're experiencing it in their own way through remixes or
Right.
samples or
Right.
just comparisons or hearing, a current rapper shout out somebody that we loved. You know what I mean? And I love that, But as far as more hip hop scholar, and more that you may do, is there more that you want to do that you haven't done as far as bridging those worlds or kind of bringing hip hop to academia and all that.
There is I'm working on my second my second single authored academic book project, which will be a digital project.
Todd, I don't like why like
Now
I
listen,
don't
it's gonna be
understand,
so
God.
dope. It's gonna be so different. Um, here's what I could tell you: the project's based on a mixtape,
Mm,
and it's just it's gonna be different and refreshing and something that hasn't been done yet.
mm,
So I'm looking forward to that. Um, the audio book for K for the Way um
mm.
is about to drop. Um,
Oh, yes.
and I know you know the audiobook world, like
Hmm.
you thought that writing the book was tough. Like the labor of love that goes into
Yes.
sitting, gotta sit in the chair, sit upright, this close to the
Uh-huh.
microphone, make sure you
Get
not
yourself some hot
over
tea and
there.
some lozenges. You in it. You
Yeah.
in it. You in it.
So like literally I'm on the last listen through and a lot of life has happened to kind of prohibit it. Um
Hmm.
but it's on the way. Um and then there's a couple other developments like I can't talk about just quite yet, but if we do this again in another 3 or 4 months, you'll know exactly what
Yeah.
I mean. You'll be like, oh Todd, that's what you were saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, projects on the way, and I'm super excited about it, and then just also excited about just teaching and thinking
Mm.
about different ways to incorporate um
Mhm.
hip hop into classroom spaces.
Mhm. Yeah, and part of the reason why I want to do this too is I want people to know who you are and what you bring and to book you, to be honest, because I think that you connect with people from various generations, to be honest, or corporations to brands to influencers to universities to K through 12. And I think that you are a a rarity that you hold so much information that it has to be disseminated because it can't go with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we need that oral history and that visualization of the culture and of the element of the culture in order for us to move forward. I think that we're seeing right now how important it is, especially in the times where so much history is trying to be, erased or like it never happened or covered up or these
Completely
things.
dismantled, yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like books like K for the Way and other things that you're going to do they're going to outlive you. That's just the fact. You know what I'm saying? It's going to outlive, the kids. It's going out. So like it's history that like in 100 years, it'll be like, yo, that book, you have to study this book on hip hop or the DJ or all of those things. And so I think that it's so important for people to grab that knowledge from you now and understand how important it is. And so if somebody wants to book you, if somebody wants to have you come out and speak, what's the process? How does this happen? I mean, y'all
So
can always reach out to me and I'll connect you with Todd,
yeah,
but otherwise.
so Disha's the people. She's always the plug to get directly. You can go to my website, drtoddcraig.com.
Hmm.
That's the easy way to get to me. You can email me, dr.todd.craig at
Hmm.
gmail.com.
Hmm.
I'm on Instagram at
Mhm.
Black Ink 411.
Mhm.
Any of those avenues
Mhm.
will get you to me. It's and I can't even believe I'm about to say this. The other thing, like you could Google me and like my Google rating is fire right about now. It used to be like a few like these like white middle-aged doctors and then me lower down
Yeah.
the food chain, but
Mhm.
now I'm kind of like
Getting up there.
you might catch me on your first hit. I'm not mad. I'm just happy to be
Listen,
here.
listen, not at all because you deserve it. I mean, like I think that it's not a cinder. Like you're here for the culture. And I think that's why the reason I wanted to interview you because I think that sometimes the academic or the slash historical part of hip hop gets hidden behind the flashy and the instant gratification and the front line, which I think there's a part for all of it to play. I'm not saying one's worse than the other or whatever, but y'all don't understand how much knowledge is in Dr. Craig. Like it's so much. Like when I used to go over their house and just pick up stuff and be like this album or this or like I used to just pick up stuff. Like just be like, you got this out. Where'd you get this? And how'd you get this? Because you're not just a teacher, you're a fan of the culture. And I think you and I have talked about this before, is like fans are starting to die off because everybody wants to be the leader. They want to be, and it's just like, yo, you can still be a fan, right? Like we can still go to a show and appreciate like everything about it and vibe out without having to get on the mic ourselves. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about I just slip into stuff. I just be slipping into stuff, young people stuff. Just like I just want to be in the environment because I love watching and I love enjoying. You know what I mean? No writing about it or nothing. I just
Right.
love it. And so I think that that's why I want people to make sure they get you out for speaking because you're like one of one. There isn't a lot of people that are doing what you're doing, Todd. And I hope you recognize that pretty much, you
That
know.
Disha, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just trying to play my little part where I fit. Like that's
Listen, and you're
all
doing a
I'm
good
trying to
job
do.
and raising kids on top of it, y'all. What? Like, listen,
And,
and you're doing
and
a good job.
thank you. I
Hmm.
appreciate it. And oh, let me say this too, because I almost forgot because you were
Hmm.
talking about history and storytelling.
Hmm.
Another project that I'm working on, we are working on it right now. Um, I'm working on Breakbeat Lou's biography.
Hmm.
People who don't know who
Yes.
Breakbeat Lou is one half of the genius behind the Ultimate Breaks and Beats series.
Hmm.
Um, and those UBB records were so influential for bridging the gap in hip hop for the next generation of producers who were coming up and kind of recording
Hmm.
all of the boom bap classics that we
Yeah.
know and love.
And the story has not been told in full in
No,
scripts,
no, it hasn't been
in
told in
writing.
full. It
Hmm.
hasn't been told by Lou. And again, and I say this to Lou all the time, it's about documenting the culture properly.
Mm,
If we're not documenting our culture properly, then it gets lost.
mm,
Sometimes it
right.
gets lost, and sometimes it gets rewritten deliberately, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
another moment of if Lou, we gonna tell your story before somebody else tries to tell it.
Yeah, that's right.
They're gonna get it wrong, but you're gonna get
Yeah.
it right because it's yours.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, we look forward to that for sure. And I know you've already said the different ways people can find you, and I'll put it in a little YouTube. And like I said, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with this whole YouTube thing, but I'm gonna learn. It's fine. It's whatever. Like it's my choice. So it's not like but I'm gonna put it all in there. But I want to make sure that, whoever is listening, and I'll again put this in that like, if you have, spaces in which, Todd can come DJ and speak a bit about Kay for the way and all the things like it's easy for me to get to Todd. So so just reach out to me, y'all. And just even if you just like, what I'm saying, want to buy some books or anything else, because we support our authors around here. And just reach out to me. So Todd, thank you for being here. Any parting words? Anything?
Yo, be on the lookout for this new conversation between I heard that Disha Daya and Dr. Todd Craig is about to go on a little award tour.
Yes,
So
little award tour. And we're in Philly leading up to the Roots Picnic, May 29th. So I'll make that announcement coming up. But any other space talking about just, I did a lot of hip hop in the White House and brought it there. Todd has the background, the intellect. So look out for us, but you can also book us too. So but I put all that in the notes. But thank you, Todd, for being here. I'm
Thanks
gonna
for having me, Disha. And
stop.
again, like happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Y'all, I hope you got like a cake for this. Like you should be coming on these things with some like book anniversary cake.
Look, Todd. Listen. We're thankful I'm here. Like I have survived a year. I ain't even had a year yet. The book came out April 24th. So maybe I'll like the last conversation I record, I'll have a cake or something. But child, that process, like I'm still like, ooh, like what happened? But it's an accomplishment and seeing the book out in public and seeing people respond to it. I'm just thankful, honestly. Like I'm thankful I ain't had no problems. I ain't had no scam. I ain't had nothing with the book. It went out and it was received and I'm thankful. So, but all right.
And real quick, Disha, just
Yes.
like the importance of the book and the inspiration that you are giving
Mm.
to people in general, but like I have daughters, so you know my
Yes.
daughters consider
Yes.
you Auntie Disha.
Yes. I love them. I
Inspiration that
love
you
them.
give to them
Mm.
to be able to see, oh no, like I can get as far as the White House, like
Yeah.
anything I put my
Hmm.
mind to is
Hmm.
possible. Like that is so priceless. So
Yeah.
I just want to say on behalf of everybody who either has not said it yet,
Mm.
or has said it and you forgot that they said it. I just want to thank you again, for sharing that book with us and
Of
sharing your
course.
story. It is
Thank you,
so
Todd.
remarkable and so powerful.